But Maseches Bava Kama Daf Ein Ches Amud Beis, middle of the page. Tono Abonon. We actually towards the end of the page. Tono Abonon Agoinev Hakitas. A person stole a kitas, an animal which is a kitas is missing one hand, which we would call the front leg. Ves Achigeres, or it's missing the hind leg, the rear leg. Ves Asuma, or it's blind, so it's like missing an eye. V'chen agoinev behemes a shutfin chayav. One who stole a behema that belonging to shutfin, then chayav. So first of all, kitas chigeres v'suma. What's the chiddush that if you stole a handicapped animal, what's the chiddush that you are chayav if you shechted it or you sold it? What is the chiddush? The chiddush is that even though you did not sell an entire animal, because the animal is missing its left hind leg, I would say that's not called wholesale. It's not called v'tvochoy kuloi u'mechoroy kuloi. We don't care. Why? Because I sold everything that I stole. When you left something behind to you, that's a problem. But if the animal is not complete, is an incomplete animal, but everything that I stole, I sold, there was 100% going over to the next domain, on that the person is chayav 4 or 5. Now let's continue about shutfin. A person sold a behema belonging to shutfin. Chayav, he has to pay the shutfin, each one half, right? The shutfim shegonvu pturim. But shutfim that they shutfim who stole are potul. That's very funny. What does it mean? Partners in crime? You know, shall I say names of fancy?
He doesn't know one person has the whole.
Oh, no. So hashutfim shegon v'pturim. There are two ways to understand it, and the Gemara is going to explain. Frag the Gemara, you're saying that partners who stole are potter? V'atanya, it says in the Brisa, shutofin shegon v'chayovin. They're chayav. If two people stole together from one person, they're chayav. Yeah, because Lamaisa each one did the act. And says the Gemara, Rav Nachman lo kasha, nish difficult, it's all good, no questions. Kan b'shutaf shegonav mechaveroi. A shutaf who stole from his friend, as we saw many times. A shutaf who stole from his good friend. They are partners, and as it never ever happens in history, but this is like kind of one of these, imaginary Gemaras. One partner lied to the other. Wow, never happens. Yeah, no, you all look like Chris Yamsuf. Okay, once in a while. Yeah, one partner was distrustful with the other, and one partner really lied to the other, and one partner kept the animal to himself against his partner's will. And what did he do afterwards? He shechted it or sold it on. He's potu not to, from giving it back. He's potu from the tvicha mechira to pay 4 or 5. Why? Because it says tvochoy kuloi. Only if I shechted the entire animal that belongs to a different person, then I'm chayav. That's probably what you meant. But if some of it is mine, if I only shecht 50% of it, so to speak, because 50% is mine, so the shechit only affected 50% vis-a-vis another person, on that I'm potur. V'tvochoy kuloi. The entire thing. We read that yesterday in the Torah. Kan b'shutav shagonav me'alma. But if you have one shutaf who stole from two people, he is chayiv. Yeah, or two people who stole together from one person, they're chayiv. Doesn't make a difference. Yeah, if I stole from two people, of course I'm chayiv. Yeah, let's say the only time when he's not chayiv is we'll see later on in Rashi. Eisivei, Rov el Rav Nachman. Yochel shutaf shegonav michaver v'shutfin shegonvu iu chayovin. Yeah, is it possible that a shutaf who stole from his friend or shutfim shegonvu would be chayiv? Talmud Lomer utvochoy kula ba'inan veleika. Right? We see what? We see here in the Brisa, a shutaf who stole from his friend or shutfim shegonvu are chayovim? No. Utvochoy kula ba'inan veleika. In other words, that's what I think you wanted to say. Here the Brisa seems to be indicating, that's what we thought, shutfim shegonvu are chayev. Two people, Reuben and Shimon, stole from Levi. Are they going to be chayev? No, it says kuloi, veleika. It's not all one person. So it sounds like as if we're saying that only one person who stole is chayev. Elam Rav Nachman, therefore says Rav Nachman the following: Lo kasha, no, it's not difficult. Kan b'shutaf shetovach l'das chaveroi. Which means if the two partners in crime are good, they're good friends. Is tovach l'das chaveroi a shutaf? Either we have two shutfim, two ganovim together who stole together, and the shecht together, or one made shliach to the other, but they're both chayav, then the are chayav. Then the are chayav, Moshe. If two shutvim are working together, then we don't say it's 50-50, therefore no, everyone can say it's him, it's him. No, it's one achrayis on both. Okay? Then they are, then they're chayiv. Kan b'shutaf, or b'shutaf, yeah. Kan b'shutaf shetovach shelo ledas chaveroi. A shutaf which tovech lo ledas chaveroi, which means they are either regular people or ganovim who lie on each other. He cheated on him. He actually was toveach shelo ledas chaveroi. One of them was toveach without his friend knowing. So he basically stole it from his own partner. He is not. They both have 50% each.
And stole
And
from himself.
what?
And stole from himself.
Right. And one of them was tovech without the knowledge of his friend. Then he's potter. Why? Because we are partners now, whether legal or illegal, but now we're partners, whether it's kinyan gzela, regular kinyan partners. One partner cheating on the other, and he's the owner of 50%, and he shechted the whole animal, is potter, as we said before. Now, there's a very, very important Rashi here. Yes? Potter from 4 and 5, not from giving back. He still owes the Karen and the Kefel. Whenever we say Potter and Chavi, it means 4 and 5. Yes. Very important Rashi, which we must read. Rashi in the first wide line. Towards the end of the first wide line, there is a Rashi. Shutaf shetovach shalo das chaver potu. The bottom of the page with wide lines, right? At the end of the first wide line. Shutaf shetovach shalo das chaver potu. He shechted without his friend's knowledge is potu. Why? Deleka utvochoi kuloi bechiyuva. Yeah, it's not called it was tovech everything with a chiyuv. He didn't do a complete aveirah on shechting everything beiser. The bahu palga de chavrei lo nasa shliach. In his friend's half, he did not become a shliach. In other words, his friend didn't tell him. Reuven didn't tell Shimon, "Hey, Shimon, you shechted for us, two ganovim." Yeah, and Reuven tells Shimon, "You're the professional shechet from the bedatz. You do the shechita, but I'm mishalech you, and they're both chayiv." Because we said, remember, we'll see it later on today. One of the only times we don't say Ein Shaliach LeDevar Aveirah is by shechita. If a ganav tells the shochet, you shochet, it's as if the ganav shechted it, right? Let's say the ganav told a ganav is a regular guy. The ganav is I don't know what is a high tech guy, whatever he is, and he told the shochet, you shecht for me. Who's chayav? The ganav. The ganav has to pay 4 and 5 in this case. So now, let's say it was without the consent of the partner, only one of them shechted. That's not called shochet completely. The Havilei, and he's not chayev. Continues Rashi, Havilei ketuvech u'moicher achar ganev de potu. It's as if somebody else would tuvech after the ganev. Two partners, yep, Clyde and Clyde. Two partners together, they ganvin together. One of them shechts without his friend's knowledge. No questions till the end of the Rashi, and then I'll listen to you. Then one ganev is working without the consent or knowledge of the other one. Then he's not chayev on the shechita. Val chel koinami potur, and he's also potter in his own half. Since there's no totality, no wholesomeness of tvochoi kuloi, it's not all chiv. There's no 50% when it comes to shchita after gneva. It's all or nothing. Very cruel world. All or nothing. Frekt Rashi, I'll listen to both of you. Frekt Rashi, and that's what bothered me, and that bothers Rashi, Baruch Hashem. Frekt Rashi, we did say earlier in the Masechta, Chamisha Boko, Vafilu Chamish Chatzoi Boko. We said sometimes you have to pay 5 halves of Boko. Let's say you have 5 halves, 2.5. In other words, you pay one partner and not the other. How could that be? So sometimes we see that Bava Chamisha does work with only half. Soon we'll see the case if you don't remember. So you see, sometimes it doesn't have to be total. It's not all or nothing. There is a certain situation in which the ganav only pays one partner his 5, which is really 50% of the 5, which is really 2.5. What's going on? Answers Rashi, brilliant answer and explanation. Hanimili, that is true. He stole from Shutfin. Levi stole from Reuben and Shimon, and Levi alone shechted it alone. Remember that? One of them he admitted to. One of them he feels more comfortable with Reuven. Reuven is a nice, forgiving guy with a nice smile. Reuven, I'm so sorry. I stole from you. It was really my mother's fault. Didn't give me my favorite type of sausage. It's childhood, whatever, the lollipop. What can you do? So I stole from you. So then what? Once he admitted to Reuven, If a person admits that he owes a knas, ma lohe, potter. But to Shimon, Shimon, to Shimon, in Beis Din, everything was good. With all the details. He came to Shimon. Oh wait, to Shimon is not moide. So now to Shimon he owes half. To Shimon he owes. To Shimon now Shimon takes him to Beis Din with two adim, and Shimon says, "You stole from me." So what? To Reuben he doesn't owe technically because he admitted his knas. To Shimon he does owe because he didn't admit his knas. Aha. Says Rashi, the b'shas tvicha vikule b'chiyuva. When he shechted it, it was 100% totally usher, totally theirs, and totally his kinyan gneva, totally shchita on his own. There was totality all over. Mimele, at the time of shchita, he was kuloi. The shutaf shetov shadas chaver potu. Get the beautiful answer like this: when at the time of shchita the animal is not all yours, and that could be one of two. Either you're a regular partner, you're a legal guy, you bought it legally, and now you cheat, and behind the back of your partner, you meshicha, you pull it out of your common domain. You keep the animal in some farm. You and another guy in Rama Aleph, you have a nice cow. You think it's very cool. You have a nice cow, new startup to own a cow and make special milk. Okay, oh fine. And now milk for the Indians and chalav Yisrael mehudar. Now you stole the cow, you pulled it out of the common area of both you and your friend Shimon, and you shechted it without his knowledge. You're not a nice guy, and as Yaakov said, you have to give the cow plus the cow's worth plus double, but you don't have to pay the extra three. Why? Because it's partially yours, and therefore it's not kuloi. Or if you steal with another partner and you shecht without the other ganiv knowing, same thing. You're not totally doing it the whole thing together. You still chetzi chetzi at the time of shchita. Then you're potter. But if in the times of shchita it was all yours, all his, everything was total. Only later, when the judicial process started, then you played games and you were moided to one, not moided to the other. Then we say that you're considered as what? As total kuloi. The fact you only pay one, not pay the other, doesn't bother us. You're moided to one, you don't pay his half. The one you're not moided, and he came with his big scary edim, to him you have to pay. So you have to pay him half of the five. So actually you actually pay one actually to everyone, and you pay chamish, whatever you pay, whatever extra, which actually before, because he's moide on all gneva. No, let's say it was only moide on the tvicha. Okay, we're answering questions if it was moide on the gneva, moide on the tvicha, whatever you're moide on, either four or three, you don't have to pay for one guy, and only you pay to the other. I'm pretty sure Baruch was first. But okay, yeah, you're next. You're next. A line starts with the word Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah asks the question: Mechora chutz mishloishim yoim. The Ganav did not limit the actual animal. In other words, they didn't say, "I'm selling you everything except for the horns, except for the meat, except for the whatever." I'm selling you everything except for shloishim yoim. The first 30 days, let's say, I want to work with it, and then you'll get it. It's yours now, but I want to have it for the first 30 days. Yeah, I know such a person. He sold the house, but he told the people, I'm going to rent it from you for the first 30 days and then you'll get it because his apartment is not ready yet. Somebody. Yeah, so you're not renting. I'm leaving myself, kilo 1 month. They will stay mine. Chutz mishloshim yom. Chutz mimelachto. Let's say he says, I'm selling you everything except for the work. The work will be mine. In other words, you can shecht it. If you want to shecht it, you can shecht it right away. But if you want to leave it for work, then no, melacha shall be mine. Any work it does shall be my work, either the result, whatever it plows the field, the gain is mine. It's yours for flesh whenever you'll shecht it, but work-wise it's mine. Chutz me'ubaro. Oh, now chutz me'ubaro mahu. It's a pregnant cow or sheep, and he says, I'm selling you the pregnant cow, except for the Uber. The Uber, once born, will be mine. He wants to use the taxi, he wants the Uber. Yeah, he wants the Uber. Chutz me'ubaro mahu. What's going to be with, if he says mahu, what would be the halacha in these cases? Reg the Gemara. Let's focus now on the ubar. Aliba demand the omar ubar yerech imoyhu. Famous machloikas. Do we say ubar yerech imoy? Ubar yerech imoy means that the embryo, fetus, unborn baby, whichever way you want to call it, the ubar is part of the mother. It's part and parcel of the mother. It's one unit with the mother. Whatever. There are many different halachas regarding that. That's not even a question. Of course, he left part of the body. If we say that the unborn baby is like the animal's female, whatever body part, it's as if you left the body part. And of course, in this case, everyone agrees you are potter. Yeah, shear. Then the ganav is potter and mechira. And it's niter b'shchita, by the way, right? Even the shchita, of course, shchita applies to the uber. When you shecht the mother, that allows the baby to be eaten without extra shchita. Yes. Yeah, yes, on the Shulchan Aruch. So Uber is part of the body, no question. That's considered as leaving a part behind, and the Ganav is not chayv. It's not kuloi. Kiti bailach. The question would arise. Aliba demand Omar the Uber lav yerech imoi. The one who says Uber is lav yerech imoi, the one who holds that Uber is not part of the mother, not considered to be a body part. My, what would be the halacha then? Meima amrinan. Shall we say? Even though it's not a halachic part of the body, but it is lamaisa mechuba in the body. It is attached to the body from the inside, the placenta, the whatever, the embryo, the thing. Yeah, in the womb, it's part of it in a way. It's mechuber attached. So if you left that behind, that's called leaving something behind, and the ganav should be potu. Or dilma, or maybe kevan delamifash mino koi. It's meant koi. It's meant to. It's going to be lifrosh. It's eventually going to be detached from the body. Once born, delivered, it's going to be out of the body, and obviously she won't be pregnant forever. Lavi shiur. So maybe that's not called shiur because it is intrinsically separate from the animal because it's going to be separate. So then we have a question. Ikadamri. Once we're getting to the two dots very soon, and then I'll.
Question about the baby. So if you
Ikadami, one second, I promise. Ikadami, some say, Kevan de lav yerech imayu lo havishiu. Some say no. Because of lav yerech imayu lo havishiu, that's another way of looking at the question. Because ubar yerech imoy, it's not called shiu because it's not part of the body. Yeah, lav yerech imoy, that's not called leaving behind. What is it? It's tam a foreign body in her body. Or Dilma, or maybe here comes another story. As I told you. Because even if you look at it as a completely foreign body, but Lamaisa, remember that Shechita and Mechira are very connected. And what did we say according to at least one opinion before? Whichever parts are mutar b'shchita, whichever body parts are allowed together, not allowed, become permitted through the shchita, become edible through the shchita, that's every little ounce of meat by the animal becomes mutar b'shchita, so is the uber. Halacha l'maisa. I saw in the Shulchan Aruch. It says that if a person shechts an animal and he finds an embryo inside, yeah, completely inside, didn't begin to give birth, didn't begin to have his feet outside, absolutely inside, then this animal inside is mutar b'shchita. You don't have to do a new shchita, even if it's found alive. You don't have to do a new shchita, and you can shoot it in the head, and you can eat it. If so, it's really mutar through the shchita. If so, keman d'shayil begufa dami. If so, that's considered as a body part halachically. Even if it's not a body part, it's as if you left part of its body because halachically there are two bodies who are mutar with one shchita. So even if you say bar lav yerechimoy, so it's not really part of the body like the yerech, like the thigh, like the stomach, like the ear. Fine, so what? The other side says lamaisa, so there are two bodies, two for the price of one. Rami Levi. Boom, shechting one would be matir two together. And shchita and mechira are very connected in the sugya. So maybe now if you left the embryo to yourself because you want the new baby that will come, maybe that's called as leaving behind and you will be patur. Teiku, boom. Teiku, we don't know what's the halacha. We don't know. Usually, Teiku means in Choshen Mishpat, whoever has the money in his hand stays in his hand. Yes, Rabbi, what would you like to ask?
I'm just trying to get my mind around the concept that you had asked me
Yes, because it says ba behema. It says zot tochlu ba behema. It says in the Torah, and I think Parshas Re'eh, if I'm not mistaken, this you'll eat ba behema. So you know modern Hebrew very well. Ba behema means amongst the behemoths, whichever types in the that exist in the species called behema. But there's a drosha that says ba behema, you're allowed to eat inside the behema through shchita. Yeah. However, there are exceptions to the rule. Let's say if it started to go out a little bit, even a tiny bit, or if during the shechita it pulled out its legs, it's a problem. Only if it's mamish inside the entire time through the entire shechita, not even one iota of the body left. Then again, another pasuk halacha. Maybe there's a new chumrah about it. Lo yodea, but actually started in Shulchan not so long ago, and that's what I. Maybe Marisayin, maybe Marisayin. Marisayin. No, there's no. Yeah, as long as it's not cruel. Yeah.
If he's keeping the baby in the womb, how is this baby going to survive without the mother?
Yeah. At the time of birth, it's already big enough and strong enough to live by itself right before the birth.
It means how would it survive if it's stuck inside the stomach?
No, that's what I'm saying. You shecht her and you quickly take it out. Apparently, there are. They sometimes, yeah, the deliver babies of mothers who are dying, even the humans. Bar of Papa. Okay, we are almost finishing on Chesed base. Question by Rav Papa. Gonva, he stole an animal. Kto, then he cut a limb of the animal. Oh, what a cruel guy. Umachro, and then he sold it. Get the picture? He stole a complete full whole animal. Then he took off one limb. I don't know, the right hind leg, whichever one. Not reifa. That's a different. Not reifa. Just the bottom part. And then he sold it. Mahu. Here comes an interesting question. Mi amrina, and shall we say, my degonav haloi zabin? He did not sell. He did not that he stole. He did not sell the entire thing, right? In other words, there was stealing, then cutting off a limb, then the cut animal, the handicapped animal, he sold. So on one hand, there's something missing here. What he stole was not completely sold. He sold it minus the organ. Oy Dilma, or maybe, Madazabin Haloshir, whatever was there at the time of the sale, yeah, whatever he sold, he sold. He did not leave himself anything behind. Everything, that piece of meat, I don't know what he did with it, that's not part of the animal anymore. So what he sold was completely sold. He didn't say at the time of sale, a stipulation, I'm leaving behind this and that. Whatever is there right now on the table is and will be, is the new owners. So maybe that's called, yes, selling it in its totality. Teiku. Again, we stay in a teiku. Get the question? It's a cool question. Do we say that we go, the totality has to be like the time of Geneva or like the time of Mechira? In other words, for sure, if at the time of Mechira, he says, you take everything minus the leg, according to some opinion, which we paskin, like Rav, right? Even a bit of flesh at least behind at the time of sale. I'm selling you 95%, but I'm leaving me a stick of flesh. I really like that, I don't know, piece of pulke over there, one piece. No, that's for sure not called mechira for gneva, and he's not chayiv. But over here, at the time of sale, there was already no organ, so maybe it's not. Maybe what it's considered to be not a full sale, or yes, a whole sale. That's a question remaining in teiku. Okay, weiter. Of course, if he bought, if not bought, if he stole a handicapped one, if he stole one without a leg, then of course he's chayiv, right? Because everything that he stole, he sold. That's not a question. The question is if the chisaron, if the lacking part was in between the mechir and the gneva and the mechir. That's a question. Yes. What's your question?
He's going to be chayav kefil on the first gneva.
Kefil is anyways. Kefil is always without the question. Yeah. There's only one gneva, and you have kefil. Yeah.
If it's the full
No. Or no 4 5 at all. Or no 4 5 at all. If you're not chai 4 and 5, you're not chai 4 and 5, except for the case of Eido. What?
You can always do the trick. You can steal a whole animal, cut off the leg.
But that's not so lucrative. So Baruch is like, you're always concerned that the Ganav gets off the hook. And I answered Baruch, I think, my own idea, I hope it's true. Lamaisa, the Ganav who doesn't sell everything is really not gaining as much. It's true, it makes sense. Lamaisa, if the Ganav didn't gain as much, to cut off a leg and sell, who would want to do such a thing? Which normal cattle, I don't know, merchant would like to cut off and sell? Of course, he's going to get much, much, much less money. And as Baruch said correctly, if you sell something, not in its totality, you sell a car, and you say, I want one seat to remain mine. I have my favorite, I don't know, one of the fronts. So no, so then, excuse me, it doesn't mean like the car is 100,000, you won't get the 99,000. No, you'll get much less. If it's not total, you're gonna get much less than just that percentage. What you for sure. Uh, what? Okay. Tanu abonon. Tanu abonon. The very last line of Ein Amud base. Be'ezus Hashem nasi v'netzliach. Gona v'nosan le'acher. Listen to this. Never occurred to us. The Ganav is a generous guy. Why do you think he's not a nice guy? Gonav v'nosan le'acher b'matono. He didn't ask for any money. Yeah, your friend came to you with a nice sheep or cow of dubious character, but you thought he's a nice guy, and he's giving you a gift, a cow. What could be a nicer gift for a birthday? Yeah, so then what? You got a gift. Shalachmonos and Purim, a live one. You're not Yotze Shalachmonos, because Shalachmonos has to be ready to eat. No, no. He sent you a cow, very nice. So now Gonav, and he gave him a ton. He's not asking for any money. What a generous guy. V'tovach, yeah, v'noson le'acher, v'tovach. Now the other person was tovach. So I'm mixing up, by the way. What I said was true. There is a case of nosan, but that's not the case over here. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. I should have read it differently. Restart. Again, tono bonon. Gonav v'nosan lacher v'tovach. What I said was also true, but this case is he gave it to somebody else, not as a matona, in order to do the tvicha. Yeah, look at Rashi at the very bottom of the page. Rashi had people like me in mind with him. He said, look at the very, very last Rashi. Loi nosan b'matona. Says Rashi, we're not talking here that he gave it as a gift, like I said. Why? Dimken afilolo tovach michayav v'nesina mishum mechira. I was right. If the person gave him a tona, the ganav is chai 4 or 5. Because matona is like, even though he didn't make money, but that was a nice gift he gave someone for the birthday, for the chasana. It looks good now in the eyes of the people. What a nice, generous guy, gave it to shul, whatever. So Nalamai said that's like mechira. He did a matona. Yeah, kediktani seifa. Ella, in this case, aso shliach letvicha lemechira. He gave it to someone not because he's nice. No, I'm giving it to you to do the tvicha. Like we said many times, you're a professional shochet. I'm a professional ganav. Let's work together. Yeah, I gave it to you to do the tvicha. Or ganav v'nosan la'achir mochar. I'm not such a good businessman. I know how to steal. I don't know how to start wheeling dealing. I mean, toilet all day long. So then what? I gave it to the guy. So you should sell it. You're the good businessman. I steal. I'm the guy who knows how to steal from the ranch. And you're going to sell it on to other people. So then what? Ganav, other cases, cool cases. Ganav ve'ikdish. Excuse me 1 second. Ein Amud Aleph. Gonav v'hikdish. Ooh, that's a big one. He was goinev and then he was makdish. What do you think about gonav and hikdish and then he shechted it after the hekdesh? What would you guys say? Very good, very good. Soon you're in for a surprise, but you're right, and you're in for a surprise. Gonav vehikdish. Gonav vehikif. Hikif means he gonav and then he sold it to someone, but he trusts the other guy. He sold it to someone, but in the end asked for the money. He sold it to someone by credit, by trust. The ganav is a good guy. He trusts the other guy. Yeah, I'm selling you the cow, but I'm not yet asking for money. Gonav vehichlif. He swapped it. He did a barter deal. Yeah, I have a cow. Don't ask me where it came from, the cow. And you have what? You have a nice car? Car. Let's switch. Gonav v'nosen b'matana. I told you he's a generous guy. What do you want? He went to someone's chasana and gave a sheep. The Arabs do that. They come with a sheep to a chasana as a matana. Yeah, so he stole a sheep and he gave it now as a wedding gift to the young couple. Mama, what's the problem? Gonav upora choyvoy. He's in debt. Misken, the ganav is low, sinking in debt. Now the cow is worth 5,000 shekels. Instead of 5,000 shekels, do you mind, please? Yeah. Instead of giving you 5,000 cash, I'll give you a cow. What's the problem? Don't ask where it came from, okay? Stop asking me questions already. Good point, Subin. Yafeh. Yeah, you can pay back anything you want, even Subin. So the cow is the real thing. Holy cow. Gonna be. Or let's say somebody he owed money because he already owes them a kolet, like in Bava Kama, he owes somebody money not through lending money, but he owes money because the other person gave him goods on credit in advance. Now he owes him money for the schoyer that he got, so you're giving him the stolen cow. Gonav v'sholach siblonis bebeis chomiv. What a beautiful chasson. He gave the chassan gifts to his kala, a stolen cow or stolen sheep. They didn't know it in Shidduchim. Yeah, what a nice start for the marriage, but that's what he gave them. He gave her, Sibloinos, the pre-wedding gifts, stolen cow or sheep. Please, not to my daughter, yeah? Mishalem teshlum al Bava Kama. He has to pay 4 or 5. Oh, 1 minute. So you have all these cases. I understand Matono, Hekef, and all that. One question Toyses and other Rishonim ask, Baruch, the question is, why do we say Gona vehikdish has to pay 4 and 5? We said not like that. We said one reason was Hashta Torah Deuven, Mikor Torah Deuven, Vashta Torah Deuven. If I stole a car which is Hekdesh, yeah, or even if I was Makdishit, so now it's my car to be Mukdash and to go to Beis Hamikdash, to the Mizbe'ach, and after Hekdesh, it's still mine. In other words, yeah, what's the Tvicha Mechira? Yeah, it's the same object exactly. Says Toysas here, we're not talking about an animal which is supposed to go to the Mizbeach, we're talking about Koche Bedek Habayis. Koche Bedek Habayis means he was makdish the animal not in order to go to the Mizbeach, and then you say that it stays the same, and you can say, I didn't move it away from you. When I stole from you a cow that's supposed to go to the Mizbeach, I'm not talking Lefi Reb Shimon. Leave Reb Shimon alone, please, okay? Now, Lefi most people, I stole an animal which is yours running around in your dining room, and it's supposed to be your chatas, yeah, okay, for the chet you did, and now I stole from you and I shechted. Now the question is actually what lemaisa. It's the chatas before and after. Before and after my theft, it belongs to Hashem, and it will be the kapara for Reuven. Same thing. That is when the kapara is supposed to go to Reuven. It's the same Reuven, same kapara, same chatas. Yeah, but and if I did it based on mikdash, I only did you a favor. But this cow is a different story. It's only for kedushas domim. Kedushas domim means I got it. The person who's makdish it not in order to bring it to the mizbeach, just to have a monetary thing for Beis Hamikdash to pay their debts or to paint the wall. Like you can makdish a phone to Beis Hamikdash, they'll sell it and get something else instead. So that's called kedushas domim as opposed to kedushas aguf. Kedusha of the money as opposed to kedusha of the body. In such a case, it would not stay after Hekdesh Reuven's thing. In other words, it was before it was Reuven's. Now it belongs completely to Beis Hamikdash. It's a whole new animal belonging only to Beis Hamikdash. In such a case, really, the Hekdesh is a whole new entity, a whole new thing. And if I was toveach it, then I am chayav or bava chamisha. But frag the Gemara, my kamash malan. What's the chiddush in all these cases? That he owes, and he gave it to Bamaton, he gave it as a debt. Well, what's the big deal? Ashmin and Reisha. The main chiddush here is the Reisha, and this is what I told you at the beginning of the Shiur. Gona v'nosan le'acher v'tovach. He gave it to somebody else in order to shecht. The yesh shliach LeDevar Aveirah. Wow, wow, wow. This is an exception to the rule. Yesh shliach LeDevar Aveirah, which means if you commission the person to do the shechita, you commission the person to do the shechita, and that shechita is what now done under your instructions, Mr. Ganev, but he's the one who physically does it. Usually, the one who does it is the one who's going to be chayav. If I tell someone chas v'sholem to actually even to steal or to kill chas v'sholem, then what? Then the chiyuv is in the one who does it, the one who got his hands dirty, not in the meshicha, the one who ran the show. Over here, there's an exception to the rule, and the Ganev will be chayav 4 or 5 if he told the shliach to do it. Afal gav, and the Gemara stresses what I just said. Afal gav, the b'chol Torah kula ein shliach LeDevar Aveirah. Even though b'chol Torah kula all over the Torah there's no shliach LeDevar Aveirah, as long as the other guy is sane and normal, there's no shliach LeDevar Aveirah. Hacha over here, yesh shliach LeDevar Aveirah. Here there's an exception to the rule yesh shliach LeDevar Aveirah, and the one in charge, the one who will have to pay 4 or 5, is the Ganav, even though he did not physically do it, but he told someone else to do it. He was meshaleach. He sent him to do it, he commissioned him to do it. He's chayav the meshalech. My time. What's the reason? As I told you, utvachoi umechoroi. We all agree to one extent or the other that tvicha mechira are good friends. They're twins. Tvachoi umechoroi. Ma mechira deloi efshar delav alidei acher. Just like mechira is impossible to be done without another person, it's very hard to sell something to myself. You know, how does it go? Yeah, you cannot sell something to yourself. You need two for tango. You need two for mechira. Av tvicha l'deacher mechayev. So tu tvicha l'deacher mechayev. That's a chiddush. Tvicha done through another person, although tvicha of course can be done alone. Obviously, I know that. But because tvicha and mechira are compared, are juxtaposed, and mechira is always with a partner, so too tvicha, even if done with a partner, still the one mechayev is the ganev, the head of the program. That's the chiddush over here, as I told you before, and as the Gemara says now. Ein Modal Bava Kama. Remember the name. Dashmin and Seifa. Gona vehikdish. The chiddush is also a person stole and then makdish. Then he was makdish it. He was makdish malimechor lehediot malimechoroi la shomayim. That's the chiddush. In other words, I made a mistake before. I made a mistake when I spoke about shechita. That was wrong. 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 No, I have to do kapora now and ask you for your forgiveness. I myself, I have to. Shamnu Bagadno, hopefully no Hail Mary. Yeah, I hope. Yep. So then what? When when the person sold to Hekdesh by saying the Ganav said this is Hekdesh, right? This is Hekdesh. Then when it comes to let's start with the Gemara. When it comes to Kodshe Bedek Habayis, in other words, he took Reuven's animal, and he said, "This is Hekdesh, not to the Mizbe'ach. This will not be Reuven's kapara. Bedek Habayis. Once it's in Hekdesh's hands, there doesn't have Reuven's name on it. Completely to Shamayim. Very good.
That's what Toysma says.
What?
That's what Toysma says.
Very good, very good. Toysfus, very nice. I took it from Toysfus. In other words, when I take Reuven's item, if I give it to Mizbe'ach, then you can say, it stays Reuven. Reuven's in a way, I'll give it as a kapara to Reuven. It's such an option. I'm a nice guy. I makdish it. I don't know if that's going to work exactly, but Lamaisa, it still retains the name of the original owner, whatever that is, or the Ganevs. The Ganev did already. You can say it retains the name of the Ganev. I think that's a real thing. I am Chasron the Ganev. I took it. There was Yush, right? There's room for me to give to another person that I want to kapor for myself. And let's say I'm the Ganev. My name is Shimon. It will stay Shimon's because I will use it as a kapor in Beis Hamikdash. Don't ask me mitzvah Bava Aveirah. That's another question. But now, when I took Reuven's item, or even if I'm the new owner, Shimon, I don't know how many people owned it before. Lo Meshane. Once it's Hekdeshes, it's a whole new entity. Hekdesh of the Domim. If Hekdesh is now the owner of the item, not from Mizbe'ach, nobody will get kapara with it. It's a donation that it gets swallowed in the big kitty of Beis Hamikdash. We don't look at who's the owner. He gets a mitzvah, of course, but it's not like the Mizbe'ach that every korban has a name. Every korban in Beis Hamikdash, except for the public ones, has a name, not a physical name. Is for someone. It's Reuven's chatas, it's Shimon's oila, or it's Prince Abela's shlomim, toilet. She came back from Chul, whatever. It's always a person, right? But Kedusha's Bedek Habayis, no. It's just a general money on general Kita Beis Hamikdash. So when the Ganav actually took it from Reuven, and let's say he's now the half owner because it was huge, the Shimon, now is Makdish, Makdish to Bedek Habayis, it's a complete cutoff from the old ownership to a new ownership of Beis Hamikdash, and that's called Mechira. Who cares if you sold it with meshicha to a friend, or you sold it by verbally consecrating it? That's my New English word. Consecrating it for Beis Hamikdash. Same thing. It's mechira, and therefore you chayav on it, and that's a chiddush, right? Look how much time we spend on understanding that. Can we continue? Yeah, questions, and then we continue. Yeah. My question, which I still have to find out, and I didn't, is as far as I know from the little general knowledge that I have, is that the bedek, I don't know how you can be makdish tmimim unless it's a balas mum. A person cannot be makdish an animal that's suitable for mizbeach. Let's say it's a cow, a sheep, a goat, a thing, whatever that is nice, wholesome, and intact and healthy, not balmum, and he cannot be makdish it for kedusha's domim to the lower kedusha. We probably talk over here. Just dawns on me as I'm inspired by you. We have to make another kimta here that this animal is probably balas mum, which is not such a hard kimta. Most animals are balas mum. Balas mum is even a tiny kind of blemish. Is already bal mum. So the only time you can be magdish an animal to Beis Hamikdash and it will not go automatically to Mizbeach, it goes to Bedek Habayis, is if it's a balas mum. Because otherwise, as far as I know, and my knowledge in this area is pretty weak, that's a problem. I don't think you can be makdish a total, good, fine, wholesome animal to Bedek Habayis. If it's suitable for Mizbeach, like in the army, lahavdil, you have high profile, they automatically take you to the highest, platoon unit, whatever. But whatever, that's lakitzchok. Yeah. So that's says the Mishnah. Okay, so that mistama is the case. I hear what you're saying. I sympathize with your time. There's the Mishnah. Now, oh, before we start the next Mishnah, I want to make your life so easy. This Mishnah seems to be a little bit like tricky or repetitive. If you only remember the rules of kinyan, and really this Mishnah, Bigadol, is a refresher's course of the simple halachas of kinyanim. If you listen to my introduction, the Mishnah will work like, we say in Hebrew, like bread and butter. Buba. You tell me, my friends. You know about kinyan hagba'ha, right? Not the hagba'ha of Sefer Torah, yeah? Kinyan hagba'ha, in magbia, one tefach, three tefachim, yofi, a magbia, so it's mine, with or without the consent of the bailim. That's gneva without the consent. Where does hagba'ha work? What kind of reshus? Does it work inside the person's house? You go to a rich person's house, it works everywhere. Hagba'ha, not meshicha. The person is magbiha inside the house of the original owner. Is it kona or not kona? Yes, kona. Kona. Because the gba is the strongest kinyan. I remember the lomdus when I was in yeshiva explained it. It's like a personal kilo. I'm bringing it into my body. It's very close to me. It's kilo mamish by me, and my body is my body, even if I'm staying in someone else's house. However, meshicha, meshicha mechlokas Rav Shmuel, if it has to be a little bit or whole tefach or more, yeah, or the whole item's length. You do meshicha, you pull the animal, you pull along the animal or the boat. Remember from Bava Kama, all these things. Does that work inside the house of the bailim? No. If the person has a nice big dining room and that guy has a very nice little golden item over there, yeah, and I start pulling, he doesn't see, and the cameras didn't catch me. So then what? As long as I did not get it out of his house, it's not yet kinyan, neither for gneva nor for legal kinyanim. None of them. Yeah, that's the rule. Isn't life beautiful? Gneva works everywhere. Now, meshicha, I want to add more. If you remember the maskana in Bava Basra, in the Mochel Sasfina, even in Rishus Harabim, in a busy street, not a simta, in a bustling street, if I do meshicha, it doesn't work. Because meshicha in the street, like I walked once in my life, I was in Manhattan, there was one time too much. Yeah, and there was so many people together, I didn't know where I was. It was like a sea of people. Yeah, so when you're in a real Rishus Harabim, you don't know where you are, where the other people are. So Meshicha doesn't work there because you don't have your own domain of Dalad Amis to pull it into your place. There is no your place. Only in a Simta, which is a quieter street, a side street where people do not frequent it much, that place in a Simta, Meshicha does work. Once we know that, life is beautiful. Look at the following Mishnah. Says the Heilige Mishnah. Gona Birshus Abailim. A person stole Birshus Abailim within the domain of the owner, but I assume that eventually he either got it out by Meshicha or he picked it up. Etaleh, eseh. He can pick it up quite easily. He took a little shepsele and he did hagba'ha inside the shoes of the owner. It's his gneva, of course. It's a ganev, hoshe. But kinyan gneva was done. He took it outside, and then outside the house of Mr. Owner, he was gonev or toveach, he stole or slaughtered. That's one case. He's chayav. Oi, another option. Shegonav chutz milshusam. He actually took it out of the reshus. Either he pulled it out of the reshus completely, or the entire gneva was out of the reshus. But to make it much simpler, he pulled it out of the reshus. Not hagba'ha. He took it out of the reshus. Here, by the way, before we continue, there's a machloikas rishonim. Taisva says, I think it says other rishonim, two b'shus b'ayim, whatever. Simta, very good. Very nice. Some rishonim say only if you pulled it into a simta when you moishech and you do meshicha, you have to do the meshicha in a private place, not completely private, in a simta, a place where you can call your own for a few minutes, and then your meshicha is yours. Either he pulled it out of the ganev pulled it out of the person's reshus into a quiet street, or the Nuki Yosef says, even if he pulled it to a busy street, we're koines the ganev to be the owner in order to be chayav. Even though by legal kinyanim, meshicha does not work in a shos rabim, it's too busy, and meshicha, which is private, doesn't work there. Here we say it does work, according to some Rishonim, just as an aside. A busy street is not going for meshicha, or meshicha is not going to busy street, because meshicha means it's not really my body, it's my domain. Meshicha means I'm pulling it into my house or my area in Manhattan or in Rehov Yafo, or apparently even in, I don't know, in the Merkaz Mischari a lot on Friday. Everyone's walking everywhere. You're not going to stand there like a tipish. You for sure wouldn't. You wouldn't say, "This is my dalad amis." What's your dalad amis? Get along with it. We're on the way from nechama
It has to be
to
on
thing.
personal.
Not personal, but even simta. Simta is a place where you can say it's not quiet for a few minutes, so the kohen and the moicher can say, "Now let's make this private enough for mechira, for meshicha." Yes, that's a rule. Here there may be an extra chumrah. So now, gonna mechutz melshusam v'tov v'chumocha b'yoshusam. The mechutzav, he took it into the house of the victim and he did tvicha mechira there. Oi, third option, mamish under the nose. Third option, shigana v'tov v'chumocha chutz melshusam. Everything was outside. He pulled it outside, meshicha outside, of course, into a simta or into the street, lefidaran. And there he did tvicha mechira outside. Vishalem Tashlima Bava Kamisha. All three options are Bava Kamisha. You did a proper gneva, either by hagba'ha inside or meshicha outside. Then you did tvicha mechira either outside or inside. Lo mishaneh. Once you stole it, even though later on you brought it inside, you think you're very cool, and there you do the tvicha mechira, you always chayav. Aval, the only fourth option which ain't working, gana v'tov v'chumocha birshu sampotu. He stole it, but it's still inside the house of Yene, and says Toises he didn't do hagba'ha. He did meshicha inside the house. It didn't leave the house. It's still in the middle of the guy's house, the victim. And there, nobody looks, and he does tvicha or mechira. Is he chayiv? No, because the gneva was not a real gneva. As long as the item is through meshicha, not hagba'ha, through meshicha, he can meshich it whole kilometer. The guy's a huge house, yeah. But he didn't yet leave the house into a simta or maybe to Rishus Rabim. It's not really gneva yet. So even though you think you're a ganav and there are no cameras, nobody, and you really want it for yourself, a good big desire, and you think you're a ganav, you're not. You didn't really do gneva because the act of gneva didn't yet finish. You did tvicha mechira, so maybe tvicha mechira somehow compensate for that because you got it. As Baruch said, it's like a second gneva. No. If gneva, if tvicha mechira were done before the gneva is complete, you're not chayv on that. Lo mishaneh. It's not yet. It's not. It's still the guy's domain. I know. I've been to such a house in Switzerland. There's a huge house and a garden and a garden and a garden and a garden. Look, huge. I didn't steal anything, by the way. Yeah, so I did not. So then, lo mishaneh. As long as it's the guy's domain, you can pull it 5 kilometers. Lochpat. It's not gneva. Hagba'ha is a different thing. Hagba'ha works even in the middle of the living room. Next part of the Mishnah. Oh, now it gets a tiny bit more complicated, but not very complicated. That's another good nafkamina. He was pulling, but didn't finish the pull. It's not outside. And what? And now he died. Not because of him. He didn't kill it. He died naturally. Potu. Why? Because Lamaisa, as he would have died anyways. He happens to die in my hands, but I'm not coining it. The fact that I pulled it and I wanted to steal it, maybe I'm over on what? Los achmoid. Oh, that's very big rum. Los achmoid. Los achmoid. I wanted it, but I didn't steal it halachically. I died in my hands, happened to be in my hands. That's a very, very good, strong enough kamina for kinyan gneva, which, by the way, this Mishnah, by the way, is the last Mishnah about gneva. From tomorrow, we'll be doing other things, almost. So that really explains to us what kinyan gneva means. Another case, higbiyoi. Oh, let's say he picked it up, the little shepsela he picked up in the middle of the reshus, or he pulled it out of the reshus bailim to a simta or to a street, maybe the mace, and then he died chayav. He died in your hands after you're koining it. It's yours for chiyuvim, a ganev. If he died by you, even though it's not your fault, excuse me, Mr. Ganev, you're worse than a shoyel. Even a shoyel is chayav on oines. If he died by you, even with a complete oines, Mr. Ganev, we don't have mercy on you. So once a gneva was complete, either by hagba'ha or by complete meshicha out of their domain, then he died Yechayev, no questions till the end of the Mishnah. We're past the time. Now comes an interesting case of partnership. Nisanoi, this guy, of course, is very frum, and he has a pidyon of ben for his first son. Baruch Hashem. He has a rabbi who told him you need to give chamisha sloim, the huder. Nisanoi lebchoris bnoi. Now this Ganav says, I'm so sorry, Mr. Cohen. We have a son, pidyon of ben. I don't have the 5 sloim. I don't have 5 coins. But I happen to have a sheep in my domain. Please don't ask me how it came to my hands, okay? Why asking questions, you religious people? Yeah? So I have a sheep over here. It's worth 5 sloim. I'll give it to you. Are you okay, Moshe, with that? As a kohen? You don't know. You didn't know. Get a nice chepsel and get someone to shecht it. Oy lebal choiv. Now he did that. There's a machlokas whether they knew about it or they didn't know about it. And he's doing that while they themselves are in the domain of the owner. I got the Kohen to come with me to the Ganav, to the Nignav, to the victim's place. I took a sheep. He does. Let's say he doesn't know any better to make it simpler. Yeah. Oh, and I give it to the Kohen. All about Choiv. Ah, Yitzchak, owe you 500 shekels. Here's the goat, 500 shekels. The Shemrechinam. Or he gave it to a guard to look after, and they think it's his. He says, "Okay, you Mister Shomer, you be my Shomerchinam. This is my goat, my sheep, my cow. You be the Shemrechinam, l'shoel, l'sochav, l'soichel. Who pulled it? Them. They're pulling it, believing that it's mine, and they're either getting their payment as a coin as a balchoiv, or they're starting their shmira period. The mace b'rshus habaylim potu. He is potur if the pulling of his not messengers of his people are misled by him and act as if it's his thing, and they're pulling, and he died before it left the victim's house. Potu, everyone's potu. Mashenkin igbihoy. Let's say the Kohen or the Baal Choiv or the Shomer, whoever is on behalf of the Ganav, let's say it's unknowingly, they picked it up, which is kinyan, but the kinyan is killed on his behalf. Their kinyan is kilo koina directly twice over. They're koina from the Ganav, who's koina in return from the owner. Chayav. If those people working on behalf of the Ganav, the Ki'ilu acquire it for him, because really they're coining it believing it's his. They're getting the money back, or they're getting the 5 of Pidyon and Ben, or they're starting a Shmir period. They're Tmimim. They think what? That they're working, that they're really doing it for him. So he wants to keep his hands clean. Maybe that's his idea. I'm being a bit balabatish here, yeah? He says they'll do it for me, Kilu. He's Kilu skipping the stage straight from the victim into the next person. So if this was done and there was Kinyan, they picked it up, or they started schlepping it and did schlep it outside the domain, outside the fifth garden and swimming pool and tennis court, into the quiet street, then the ganev is chayav because he's misleading them. Ein Shaliach LeDevar Aveirah. They don't know what they're doing. That's actually a discussion in the Meforsha Mishnah. Some say that if the person is innocent, he didn't know any better, he was none the wiser, and he's acting on behalf of the ganev, then the ganev is chayav for their pulling is really his pulling, their kinyan is really his kinyan, he's engineering it, and then he'd be chayiv. Maybe there are other opinions, we'll discuss that another time. Thank you very much, Yishar Koyach, thank you, and welcome back to everybody that came back. And I don't know to do the Zoom, I think I'll really start the new one, the Google Meet, I'll try today, Google Team. Thank you very much, Koyach, have a very good week. It's not working, the Zoom, no.